Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So for today's video I'm going to be using my Plaid background stamp to make 3 cards 3 ways. So let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, so for today's video we're going to be doing 3 different cards using the Plaid Turnabout stamp. Now you don't have to use Plaid, like this particular stamp, to do this. I'm just going to show you 3 different ways that you can use a background like Plaid that is a little bit, it's not quiet, it's not going to melt away. You kind of have to use it in some kind of way. But 3 different ways you can use a busy background like a Plaid background to make some reasonably simple kind of little cards. So I'm featuring the Concord Night Plaid Turnabout. I love this stamp so very much. It's probably my most well-used stamp of the last 12 months. Just can't put it down. Have to keep making Plaid. And what you'll see here is a couple that I have sitting off here. I have a Christmas one. I have a minty, teal and grey. I have pastels. These are all using the colour cube. I just kind of grabbed out some colours and thought what would work. Some purple. Used actual inks instead of oxides, and some blues. And like I said, we're just going to use these backgrounds in 3 different kind of ways to kind of show you how you can use them. So I'm going to start off with this blue one. Some of these I've already cut down using my Uniquely Creative stitched nesting rectangles. I like, for this one, it's the second smallest one. So this is the biggest one. This is the second smallest one. The only thing I will say that I don't like about the Plaid Turnabout is that it gives me a 6x6, which isn't big enough to fit on my Australian size card fronts. Like it just doesn't fit. It's actually not 6x6, 5.5 by 5.5. And that's unfortunate, but you know, you can work ways around it. So ways I like to work around it is by either adding a scallop around the outside, which will kind of fill this up, or by adding a piece of paper in the blue. So I'm going to cut this out using my die cut machine. And I'm just going to use the bigger rectangle. So I'm just going to cut this down so it'll go through the die cut machine. So this first one here, you can probably work out I'm going to do as a boy. They're all going to be, well, they're all going to be birthday cards, but that's not right. This one's going to be a birthday card. And I struggle with male cards. I struggle to have them in my stash, and so that's why when I was making that one, blue's a safe colour. It just is. Blues and greens, safe colours, greys and teals. I think you could get away with this one as well if you wanted to. Probably even that one, even though it's got some purple. It's just about being a bit careful, I guess, with colours. So I'm just using my washi tape just to stick that in. Just doesn't want to. I'm just not sticking it on the inside so that I don't tear away any of the paper. So I'm just going to run this through the die cut machine really quickly. So this is just a piece of plain blue paper. There's nothing fancy about it. It's got a couple of little marks there. I know you can sort of see it. That's come from my die cut machine. Not actually going to be a problem because we're going to cover it up anyway, so it won't make any difference. So what I've done there is I've just matted it. So this is going to give me the blue edging around the card that I want. So we're going to do a portrait style card for this one. Sorry, landscape, not portrait. So it's going to sit like that. And this is the easiest one of the 3 because all we're going to do is use a sentiment. It's going to be so easy, it's not funny. So for that, I'm grabbing out the giant birthday messages from Fawn, and I'm grabbing the one in the middle that's the May All Your Wishes Come True. And we're going to white heat emboss that. Actually, no, we're not. We are going to heat emboss it, but we're going to clear heat emboss it in navy blue. So I'm going to pop this into my MISTI. So I'm playing on the blue by we'll use some Distress Oxide. I'm just going to put that there. So I've just put that back. Pick it up. Powder everywhere. just going to get everything ready. I'm actually going to do this 2 different ways, and I'm going to see which one I like better. So because I have a slightly bigger piece of paper here, I can kind of do this. So the first one I'm going to do the way I had originally thought about it, and I'm going to stamp it out in Chip Sapphire Distress Ink, and then just put Distress Oxide, sorry, and then put clear embossing powder over the top. So I'm just making sure that's got a nice coverage. Really quickly put the powder and heat set this. Now, I've just noticed it, and I'm going to fix it now because otherwise it won't work. So I've just missed down the bottom here. When I was pressing, I mustn't have inked up enough. So my true wasn't really finishing. There we go. Now it's better. Hoping that didn't give it enough time to completely dry. So we'll see. Just trying to make sure I get every little bit. I feel like some of these have dried, but I'm going to try it anyway. So I'm going to heat set that, and then we come back and try the other one. It's not bad. That's better than I thought it was going to be. I thought I'd missed a couple of spots. But I am still going to try the other way. So I'm just going to pop that back in. I'm going to move it down a little bit. I just want to avoid having to get another piece of paper. Doesn't matter here if I get a bit of an impression because I'm going over with clear anyway. So grabbing out my embossing ink, make her all sticky. I'm going to do 2 coats of this as well, just so that I'm sure I've got a nice finish, or got as much nicer finish as I can. And then rather than using the clear embossing powder, I'm going to use the Distress Prize Ribbon glaze. I do really like the glaze. Oh, I might have made that a bit foggy, but anyway. I do really like the glazes, and especially love this one. The blue is just really pretty. It's probably not going to be as dark as Chip Sapphire, but I think it's going to come out just as nice. And I like doing it on coloured paper. It's just something different. There you've got your 2 kind of sentiments. I think I like the one with the embossing glaze better, but I'm going to cut them both out. So this one comes with a die, like an oval shaped die that matches. So I can go ahead and cut that out just using the die in my die cut machine. That's why I got those funny little bumps. I cut something out the other day that had all little circles in it, and I think when I did that I left too many of the insides in there. And then back. Now what I love is that the Lawn Fawn little oval gives you a really beautiful stitching detail around the outside. It just makes it look cool. I'll grab this one as well. I just cut that one out by hand, not because of any other reason other than I couldn't be bothered. So there's the 2 that I've ended up with. I actually think I like the embossed, like with the clear, a little bit better. The embossing glaze is great. It just doesn't give me as much raised up, which is what I really wanted. So I'm going to use that one. Then we're going to start building this card up. So we're going to go 1, 2, and we've got that May All Your Wishes Come True in the middle. I'm actually looking at it and going, I don't like it. It needs something. It needs something. So I'm just grabbing, this is the Holiday Giant Messages, also from Lawn Fawn. And I've just grabbed a bit of scrap plain white cardstock. This is not fancy stuff. It's not the stuff I make my card bases out of. It's just the quill cardstock that I use. Whoops. This might give me a bit of separation. So I think what's missing is, yeah, it's not too bad. I just want to try one more thing. Me just again proving that I definitely don't pre-plan these videos. I do, but not the way that I probably should. Just going to send this through. This is a slightly different shade of blue cardstock. It's only just. I'm just wondering if I could put this, I actually like that better, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss it and do it really fast, but I'm going to do it on white because I just feel like that's going to give me that pop that I want, because I need it to be a bit more. I'm going to still use that white bit because I want a little bit of dimension back there. So I'm actually going to cut one more out. I'm going to need a couple pieces of scrap. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really fast and I'll be right back. So I'm wondering who is going to be able to tell me what I did wrong there. Oh dear, I forgot to do my heat embossing. That's better. Not heat embossing, my powder. Anyway, that looks much better. It just needed to be white. Okay, so I'm going to stick this down, stick the background down. So just loading it up. Running my finger around the outside just so I can get off any of the little furry bits that like to hang around. There we go. So that goes down onto my pre-folded card base. If you do have any trouble, which I do quite a lot, grab out your scoring tool or your MISTI or whatever you need to do. Push it up into the corner. I didn't do well enough. There we go. It's not quite perfect, but it's pretty close. Again, you don't have to worry about that little bit of white there because it's going to go away in a sec. Sorry, not white, a little bit of mess in the middle. You could obviously use liquid glue, which I'm going to use in just a second for the sentiment. So just going to put this down in the middle. Just trying to get that sort of even border all around the outside. There it is. And then we'll just stack this sentiment up. So all around the outside for the two white layers. You could offset them so you get like a double kind of one, but for this one I'm just using it for stacking. So just lining it up. And then this top one I'm just trying to make sure that I get a little bit on the little, whatever these scallop things are called. And the cool thing is if this is just slightly not quite set right, like if I don't quite get the stack lined up, because the white, we're kind of using that as another accent colour anyway, we kind of get away with it. So put this one down as well. Now if you wanted to be a little bit more extra, you could colour in the sentiment. I think I like it just the way it is. I think it's fine. So I'm just going to do it this way. And then, I was going to say I'd do that one with that, but I'm not. I'm going to put glue tape on the back. I love how simple this is. And you could add a little bit more if you wanted to and have like a ribbon or a band or something. I'm going to do a bit of a band in a minute on another one. But that's the simplest way to use it, because you can use the background and you are still getting that plaid, but you're just pulling it back a little bit. It's still the star, but you are kind of hiding it a little bit in a fun kind of way. So that's number one. Number two is we're going to do something very, very similar, but we're going to use, instead of a sentiment as the star, we're going to use an image as the star. So I think I want that one. This is a beautiful, yeah, that one. Beautiful kind of, oh, words are escaping me. Pastel-y kind of colours. And I'm going to use this very cute little stamp from Avery Elle. I've had this one for ages and I so rarely use it, and it's really bad because it's gorgeous. So I'm grabbing my little unicorn. And then just a piece of blending card. Pull this in. Part of me wants to try something really, really silly. So we'll see in a minute how that goes. Just need to get rid of some of this mess. Okay. So we'll have the little unicorn. The cool thing about this little guy, or girl, depending on which way you want to do it, is that it's not a huge image. It's a very small image, which will give you the ability to kind of, not disguise it, but it's not going to be as in your face. Oh, I just realised. That's right, I did it. I did do it wrong, but it'll be fine. I'm just going to double stamp that. And then I'm going to colour it really, really, really super fast. And I'm going to use the same... Oh, what did I do? Anyway, doesn't matter. Oi. Actually, what I can do now... no, I'll do it this way. I was going to do it differently so that I could use a different piece of paper, but I'll die cut it and stick it down. It's probably easier anyway. I won't waste that piece. I'll just use the other side. So I never worry about that. So I'll use the same kind of colours that I've got here. So I'll use a teal, like a light teal. So I've got BG34 and BG32. I'll use a nice bright pink. So RV13 and RV14. And then I'll pull out like a lilac. So I reckon BV0 and BV01. And we're going to get the yellow too. That's going to be Y21 and Y23. So I'm just going to go ahead and colour this one in. I'm also just going to bring in just a little bit of N3 and N0 just to give my little unicorn some shadows. I'm going to colour this in and I'll be right back. As I was colouring that in, I was like, nah, this isn't going to work. My sort of thought wasn't quite right, but I think it's actually worked. And I actually really like the way those colours have come together. I think that's worked nicely. Alright, so there's our cute little unicorn. Oh, that's so cute. Why don't I use this set more often? This one's going to be a portrait style card. And I'm going to bring in, again, a little bit... This is what I was thinking. I'm going to do something that I'm kind of scared to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm grabbing, this is a whole sheet of that. It's like a sticky adhesive sheet. And I'm going to do the whole one. I feel like this is going to be wasteful, but I'm going to do it anyway. Grabbing a piece of plain white cardstock. What I want is I want a piece of clear glitter paper, and I don't have any. I don't have glitter paper. I don't know why I don't have glitter paper, but I don't. I probably do, but I want to do it this way because you can just make your own, which I think is really cool. So I've got that. Just need to get a piece of scrap paper. Okay, piece of scrap paper, double-sided sticker paper. This is my Distress Rock Candy, and this is not my idea. I think this was either Christina Werner or Jennifer Maguire or somebody did this, so I'm just going to copy it. But what it's going to give me is a whole sheet, well, whole A5 sheet of glitter paper. What I'm just trying to do is not make a mess, which I swear isn't possible with glitter, but I'm going to give it a shot. So, like you would embossing powder, tap off the excess. And just hope like heck. Just making sure I haven't missed any spots. I'll put that off to the side for a sec. Let's see if we can get all of this back in the jar. Oh, look at that! Now just before I go touching it, nothing is coming off. Like I'm shaking that, hitting that, nothing's coming off, and I just want to touch it and just feel, hold on. I'm grabbing the bit of release paper that came off the back. I'm just going to use that just to press this in, just to make sure I've got as good of adhesion as I'm going to get. And in fact, I'm also going to flip it over. I'm going to put the lid on this because I feel like I'm going to lose it otherwise. Just give it a rub. This is just my stamp rubber, but you know, anything's fine. That's pretty good. Like I'm not getting any come off, or very small come off. Yay, that was what I wanted. It'll be interesting to see when this goes through the die cut machine in a sec. So this is me completely and utterly experimenting. I have no idea if this is going to work, but I'm going to cut one of these. I'm going to cut a little bit out with the rectangle, and I'm also going to cut out a little bit with a circle. I'm scared to touch it because I feel like I'm going to wreck it, but I'm not. And I just put that with plain cardstock, like just plain, the quill cardstock that I use as my simple one. It doesn't need anything more than that, just needs to be simple. So I'm also going to grab my little nesting circles from Uniquely Creative, because this is going to help us get our center point. So I want to see, yep, so it's that one, which I'm going to cut out of that plain white cardstock. And then I'm going to get the next size up in the nesting, in the scallops. There we go. And cut that out of the glitter. I'm going to cut both of these out with the die cut. Cut out a plain white for the back of the unicorn, and I'll be right back. Cool thing is that press is also going to press in the last of the glitter. So if there is anything that wasn't coming out, that wasn't stuck, I think it will be now. And that didn't even pull off. Oh, that's so cool. Alright, I'm a very happy girl over here. Oh, every time. It's always just that little bit. Alright, Yeah, there's a little transfer there. It'll be fine because most of that will get covered up anyway, so I'm not worried. So I'm going to keep that other bit. We can use that later. And then let's build our little unicorn card. So the white glitter. Oh. And the only reason I'm doing it is because it's, you know, it's a unicorn. You can't not. Now, if you are a little bit like me and a little bit like you don't want to waste this whole bit, which I don't, I'm going to cut the middle bit out using another square, another rectangle. Don't have to do this. This is just me not wanting to waste a perfect, like all that glitter paper in the middle, even though I can make my own. But then I have a little trick to kind of make this be a bit nicer afterwards. So I'm just going to take that off. I'm just being gentle. There we go. So I've got my little square there for next time. So I'm going to pop this down. I'm going to put just glue tape. This is my little thing. I always pick the dirty side because I'm going to cover most of it up. So that's my center bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this up in the middle, just using foam tape, but that way it kind of, I don't have to fill in the gap. Sometimes that's what I'll do. I'll grab a piece of plain white cardstock and just fill that gap in so that it doesn't feel like it's bottomed. But because I'm got this, I'm just double checking that that's not then going to feel loose on the side. It is a little. So this is where you bring in a second width of foam tape. Just pop that all around the outside. Go. You're not making a shaker card, so it doesn't have to be, you know, all around the outside. Cannot get over how good that rock candy looks. Knew there was a reason I bought that. There you go. And then that'll stick that down. So I'll go ahead and do all of that. I like to do it all at the same time because that way it's just one sort of push and it'll be adhered. Now you could absolutely add something else to this, as in put a little bit of ink. I might still do that. I'm just having a look. Just depends on the sentiment, I think. So the sentiment that comes in the kit, in the thing, says wishing you a magical day. And I don't know if it'll work because it's just not gonna fit, maybe? No, it doesn't quite fit. Oh, there is another one. It says, I believe in you. Let's see if that works. That one will work. So, get the Misty out. I'm going to stamp this in purple. Just feel like it's going to give it a really nice kind of finish. So I'll grab the... I'm just offsetting the sentiment just a little. Checking where we've got that unicorn. So that way the unicorn can kind of sit on top, if that makes sense. Sort of going to straddle the eye a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Magnet down. I was going to say unicorn in, but unicorn out, but I don't want to move the magnet, so I'm not going to. Oh, helps if you take the other unicorn out. So I'm going to use Shaded Lilac, which was the ink I used when I did that originally, when I originally did the plaid. actually think it needs to be a bit darker. Okay, so best thing about the Misty, so I can just pull it up a notch. So this is Dusty Concord. That's better. Just needed a bit more purple. And then we can stick this down. I'm going to put just a little bit of the skinny foam tape on the unicorn because I just want her to be popped up just a little bit. On there. Just noticed this. I have a little bit of ink on the top of my circle. Just grabbing my sand eraser out. It was only a little smear, so it wasn't too bad. So sometimes a little smear can get off with a sand eraser, but not always. So just try not to do whatever I did and smear it in 3 different places. Well done, me. Alright, and then we'll stick this down. I'm going to use liquid glue because I don't know how well my glue tape will stick to the rock candy. I've just realised I've forgotten to do something on the unicorn, but I'll do it in a sec. That down and just let it sit for a sec. I'm just putting something heavy on it. Not actually all that heavy, but I'm just going to put just a little white highlight or 2 in the hair. And then just to add, you know, a teeny bit more, I'll do it afterwards. I'm just going to put a little bit of Stardust stickles on there. So again, a bit of glue, a lot of glue. I'll stick something heavy on this in a sec while I finish off, and we'll put the Stardust on in a sec. So there's number 2. So still using the Plaid, just added a little bit of extra. I'm just going to put something heavy on this while we finish the last one. And then the last one, I'm going to try and make this the easiest. Oh, no, it's not the easiest, but it's still reasonably simple. And it's to use a little bit of vellum. So I would usually cut this with the little square, which would mean this would be a little bit smaller again. I'm going to try and get as much out of this as I can. So obviously it's not quite square. So I'm just making it so there's no white edge around it. So this one's using Christmas colours, which I'd never thought to use yellow in Christmas colours, but that was an idea that came from the Echo Park Christmas pad that I got the other week, because it's just blown my mind. So this then becomes, what's that? So my card is 10.5 by, so if I make it, I'm just going to grab, I'm just going to have a look here. So it needs to be 10.5, it needs to be, sorry, it needs to be like 14.8, and what actually is it? It's about, if I make it 13.8, that way it's just a centimetre off. So if it's 10.5, it needs to be 9.5, and that'll be pretty close. Yeah, I probably could have made it a little bit bigger, but that's okay. What I'm going to do with this one is add in a bit of gold. So I'm grabbing gold cardstock. I have a lot of this, so I don't mind just using, I'm just going to cut this to 10, because then I can give it just a little lip all around the outside. I don't mind the wasting the bit in the middle, because I do have plenty of it, but you can do the same thing with this as you did with the glitter if you wanted to try and save a little bit so you don't have as much waste of very nice cardstock. But I have found there is some really good quality stuff at Spotlight. They do really good quality foiled cardstock. So if you're looking for it, that would be where I suggest. Now, just remembered before I've gone to do it, the way we're going to do the sentiment on this one is we're going to have it across vellum. Nearly did really bad on every level there. So I'm going to grab just a plain piece of vellum. That's not a very good piece of vellum because it's all crinkled. Please hold. So I'm grabbing this one. This is the Concord Tiny Trees Turnabout. What I love about this one is it comes with the best Christmas sentiment. So it's got this one here that's got "Have yourself a merry little Christmas." And what I'm going to do is stamp this on the middle, in the middle of this bit of vellum. So I'm just trying not to lose all my parts while I do this. I shouldn't need my die cut machine for this one, I hope. So I'm just going to cut this to be a little bit wider than I need it, because I can always trim it down. And then pop this into the Misty, and then I'm using the Misty to help me actually line up where I'm going to put it. Sometimes I'm really, really not clever and it drives me nuts. Vellum's pretty good sometimes of getting rid of mistakes, but not today. That's alright. So I just got that vellum, another bit of vellum. I'm going to try and get rid of that. I need to clean my Misty. So then we're going to powder this all up. And then we're going to heat emboss this with gold. And we're going to use gold because obviously we're using the gold on the back, on the matting piece, so it'll end up looking really beautiful. Now, that moved a little when I did that. So I'm just, when I put it back, yeah, she's fine. Giving that a really good push. Can't see anything with the vellum, so I'm trusting it, which is scary. And then let's go ahead. Yes, that's lovely. I can see it. So I'm using my Ranger Gold embossing powder for this one. I do have a Sizzix one as well, but I find the Sizzix one comes out a little bit more coppery, whereas this comes out beautiful yellow gold. Somehow I still have got purple on the back there, and I'm hoping when I stick this down I can hide that. Grab that bit of plaid back in. Yeah, I'm going to be able to hide it easy. So I do want to cut this down a little bit thinner because it's definitely too wide. But it's not too much too wide. It's only a little bit. Because I do want the sentiment to have a bit of gravitas. Like it's not supposed to be sort of just hiding there. So I'm going to have it. So that ends up being 5, 2.5 runs right there. So that is very close to the middle. Yeah. Now, I can see how people would look at that and go, oh, that's actually a bit too, like it's not enough. But I really feel like it is. But I also really like it at the bottom or at the top. But I'm going to do it as a belly band for this one. So I'm finding the spot. This is where a little bit more washi tape comes in handy. So find the spot. Find where I like the center. And then tape it down. And then I'm going to grab in my scoring tool. And And I'm going to use this one this time. You don't have to. You can use whatever one you like, but it's just because it's easier and it's here. And then just folding that in. So it's a nice crisp fold line. And I'm going to grab that washi off gently. Pull that really tight. There's going to be no tape whatsoever on the front. So pulling that really, really tight, or as tight as I can. And then we'll score on this side as well. So good. I feel like it's just a little bit not quite tight enough, but this is where glue dots are my friend. I'm also just going to cut off a little bit of this. I don't need that much of a tail on it. So I actually pulled that tighter and actually made it straighter, and that's better. It'll come out in a second much nicer because I'm going to then put this down, you know, all over the backing of my glue, not glue, gold, so it'll hold this down. So I'm going to pop that on, making sure we've got that nice little even border all the way around. There it is. And then we just need one more trim. And I'm just looking at it and it's like, is that too much? Is it not enough? Perfect. And then straight onto the card base. And you could do that vertically or horizontally, it doesn't really matter. I just like the horizontal for that one because it is a lovely long kind of sentiment. And then just to finish this one off, because it's not annoying, that's not the right word. I'm just going to bring in some matte gold little gems, not those ones actually. No, they are going to be those ones. I thought I had some more goldy ones, but apparently I don't. That's okay. So just to help sort of stick this down a little bit, this is where these precision ones really help. So just a little bit of glue on that one, and that'll hold that down. And then a little bit there, and then just a little bit under there. Now it's going to hold majority of it down, and then I'm just going to come in and put a couple of gem clusters on there. This is the way that vellum, when you're using adhesive on vellum, how it can be hidden. It's by sticking things over the top. Now the one over here, because I stuck it down on white, seems to be not making so much of an appearance. So I think I'm okay. So that's going to be card number 3, if I did it the right way, which I did. So that means we have 3 different cards here, 3 different occasions that all look reasonably different, kind of, but that are all using my plaid background stamp. And like I said, this could be used for any kind of really busy background stamp, anything that you sort of want to go with. Find yourself a way to be able to put the sentiment on it and almost make the sentiment the star. Like this one was easy because that's really just the sentiment, but just a simple little image like that in the middle. And just to show you another one I've done, this is not with the plaid background, But very similar idea for a Mother's Day card, but just using an oval instead. Any kind of busy background will work for something like this. Find yourself a belly band, find yourself something in the middle. Bingo. You're going to be able to use that beautiful paper, whether you're making it or buying it. You're going to be able to find a way to make that really busy paper your star. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I know it was slightly long. I hope when we do the editing process it becomes a little bit less long. If you did enjoy it, please give it a big old thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. There's lots more videos on card making and tips and stuff on there. So if you want to check them out, you are more than welcome. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss my next video. And I hope you guys have an awesome, awesome day. And I'll catch you again in my next one. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!